The second reason why people become atheists is because they simply don't like the idea of having to live by rules, other than the rules they make for themselves. They don't like the idea that there are some things a human being should do and some things a human being should not do, and that the only being that has the right and the knowledge to tell human beings that is the Creator. And with this, there are many other reasons as well. The claim that most scientists are atheists is not true. It is simply not true. In fact, if you look at some of the greatest minds in science, like Albert Einstein, it is very clear from reading Albert Einstein that he believed in the existence of a creator. Newton, of course, who is famous in many ways, he's one of the giants of science, also believed in the existence of a creator. And interestingly enough, for many years of Darwin's life, he also believed that there was a God. There has been a very major piece of research done recently in Oxford by the Society for Mind and Anthropology, or Anthropology and Mind, who did a £1.9 million they spent on this research. As far as I remember, there were over 60 academics involved in this research from all over the world in the realm of human psychology and anthropology. And after many years, they concluded that the belief in God, the religious belief and the belief in afterlife is not something that is taught by our parents. It is something instinctive and natural in the human being. That in fact the very human thought process itself is shaped by religious values. This agrees with exactly what Islam has been saying, that every human being is born upon the fitrah. In other words, every human being, as the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, is naturally inclined to worship God alone. And as the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, it is only our parents that make us diverge away from that natural inclination to single out God for worship and make us followers of different religions or no religion at all. Now, this is something in our instincts, and we all have instincts. Animals, by the way, operate on instinct. What makes the human being different from the animal is that the human being has reason. We have the ability to reason, whereas animals, they rely upon instincts. And we have also what we call reflex action. So, for example, if I pick up something that is hot, that is very hot, I don't have to think. There's no process in my brain saying, this is very hot, I must drop it. No. You do it instinctively. You drop it instinctively. This is a reflex action. This is something that is not rational. This is just something that is part of our intrinsic makeup. In order to keep on holding something hot, you have to train yourself. You have to learn to bypass your normal instinctive, which a human being can do. We can learn to bypass those reflex actions and force ourselves to hold a hot coal. This is unique to human beings. However, this instinct is there. And the belief in God is instinctive. What is the proof? What is the proof of this? Why would somebody be an atheist? Why would somebody choose a belief system that declares there is no creator of this universe. Atheists are taking a position about something. An agnostic is someone who says, I don't know whether there's a God or not. But an atheist is different. An atheist declares that God does not exist. The atheist declares that he or she knows. That's the implication. They know that God does not exist. And what I want to examine is what is the basis of this knowledge? What is the basis of this claim? When an atheist is claiming that God does not exist, or they know that God exists, or they are convinced that God does not exist, what leads them, what makes them adopt this claim? What makes them take this position? That most people who are atheists are not atheists because their belief is rational. No. Atheists have somehow managed to convince many people that atheism is a type of rational choice. It's the default position of the scientist and the academic and the intellectual. So a lot of people today imagine that most scientists are atheists. And this alone, just this, makes people sit up and take the claim of atheism seriously. That their claim to be rational and intellectual is by and large a false claim. I would conclude, and Hamza has concluded, that most atheists are atheists because of emotional reasons, not because of rational reasons. Two most obvious reasons for a person to be an atheist, and there are other reasons, but the two most apparent reasons for a person to be an atheist is, number one, the person feels that God has let them down. And this is what both me and my colleague Hamza, through experience, we have found, that a lot of people, and this is often people who are formerly religious, become atheist because they feel that God has let them down. I used to pray, they would say. I used to be religious. I used to believe in God. But then such and such thing happened to me in my life. Such and such difficulty came to me in my life. How could God do that to me? How could God sit there and let me face this difficulty? He should have rescued me. He should have saved me. He should have taken me away from this. In other words, they experience some difficulty in their life, and they feel that, perhaps they feel they are so special that God should have looked after them. And this itself, of course, comes from a wrong concept of God and a wrong concept of our relationship with God. As we Muslims know, life is a test. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned in the Quran,
الذي خلق الموت والحياة ليبلوكم أيكم أحسن عملا وهو العزيز الغفور.
الذي خلق الموت والحياة ليبلوكم أيكم أحسن عملا وهو العزيز الغفور. In the Quran, the Creator, Allah the Creator, is telling us that I have created life and I have created death. I have created death. الذي خلق الموت. I have not created death and life except to test, except to see which of you is best in conduct. And He is Aziz, He is the mighty, and He is Ghafoor, He is the forgiving. So life is a test. The nature of the test is that there will be hardship and there will be ease. There will be difficulties, there will be hardships, there will be illnesses, there will be sicknesses. Indeed, in the Quran, Allah is telling us, do you think that I would leave you saying you believe without testing you as we tested those who came before you? So we will be tested. And the fact that we claim to be believers in God does not mean we will stop being tested. No. In fact, we know from the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam that Allah tests the ones He loves. And the ones He loves the most, He tests them the most. It's very interesting that one of what we could call the high priests of atheism, Richard Dawkins, was recently on a TV show, and he was being interviewed. And he was saying in this interview, you know, most Christians, they don't know anything about their Bible. They just don't know about their book. So the interviewer said, okay, that's interesting. You believe, Mr. Dawkins, you're a big fan of Darwin, aren't you? Of course, yes, Darwin's very important. Could you tell me the full title of his book, The Origin of the Species? And Richard Dawkins started going, oh God. He said, oh God. So he found that this atheist, or this renowned atheist, is being put in a difficult situation. He doesn't know the answer, and he ends up going, oh God, like, oh God, help me. What am I going to say? And this is a guy who says he doesn't believe in God. And actually, this is instinctive. This is instinctive. Allah gives the example in the Quran. Allah gives the example in the Quran of those people who go on a boat. And they go on the boat expecting to do trade and expecting to buy and sell. They go onto this boat, and when they go out to sea, there is a great storm. And Allah describes in the Quran how the waves are coming over them like the roof of a tent. Can you imagine? Huge waves crashing down on top of you. Now, for a bit, the human being will think, okay, the boat is going to save me. The boat is well built. The boat will save me. Or maybe they think the captain will save me. But when the boat starts to disintegrate, to break apart, and the captain gets washed over shore, what do? What do? They start calling upon the Creator. They start saying, oh God, help me. And when they say, oh God, it is not the point, the name is not important. Whether they say God or Allah or Huda or whatever. No, the name is not important. It's the concept that is important. What are they calling to conceptually? Conceptually, in their minds, they are calling upon the being which they know instinctively has power over everything in the universe. That's the one that they are calling to. They know that a being exists instinctively that can rescue them and has the power and the ability to save them from their difficulty. This is the point. Not the name, but the point is the concept. And this is important. Because this being they are calling upon instinctively is not part of the universe. They are not calling upon something that is part of the universe. Nor is this being the universe collected together entirely. No. This is a being they know is distinct and separate from the universe, who has power over it. This, of course, is Allah. This, of course, is the Creator.